questions that came up in our video darshan with Srila Sridharmars the other day. So I was thinking to address those unless anyone else has another request. You think that sounds good, Chinmoy Prabhu?
Yes, if anybody has something they'd like to ask, and then if not, then let's go to those questions.
That sounds good. Does anyone in the group have a burning question, burning topic?
Dandavad, I do. Hare Krishna.
Great. Dandavad, Gangalila.
And that might not be any spiritual question. Maybe that's just practical. But I, after chanting 1 month, pretty much every day, the Dhammarashtakam, I kind of memorized like the first lines and that's it. So I didn't go any further. Is there any practical advice from anyone to how to increase the capacity to learn the verses by heart?
To learn the verses by heart. She says she was singing the Dhammadrashtakam every month, every day. Oh, really? Wait, Muninja says he asked Gurudev this question once. Okay, Prabhu, what was Gurudev's answer?
You may not like this answer.
Can you hear? Yeah, I should go closer.
No.
Yeah, I'll go closer.
I asked this very question to Gurudev once. And the answer was, you have to be very serious in your spiritual life.
That was what he said.
But he told to me, sorry, it's not for you. More serious.
That was what he said. That's interesting. Huh. Well, I mean, first of all, we'd heard Gurudev's answer to that question, so that's something to note down. I can also add, I mean, first of all, it's very nice that you've been doing that, and the way I see it is that these verses, they are all living, like they have their own will, and it's not so much a matter of trying to like capture in our brain, but letting them enter if they want to enter, right? If they want to. I mean, my experience with verses is like there are many verses I know just from hearing them. They've just they decided to enter my consciousness, and I never made any effort. And then there are other verses I've tried to learn, and I can never learn them, And some very difficult verses I learned very easily, and some very easy verses I could not learn even when I tried. So the way I see it is the main thing is, that we're honoring, right? You're honoring the prayers, and our Gurudev, he made the point that these, like he liked devotees to chant the original Sanskrit or Bengali, because it's not a matter of the language, but it's a matter of the original vibration, that was coming from the heart of the author of that writing. So Gurudev liked that the devotees sometimes devotees they'll skip over because it's hard for them to pronounce, but our Gurudev liked that the devotees would try to honor these compositions, because you're connecting, that composition, that's by Satyavat Muni. He's a great Vaishnava, and that poem, that composition, so extraordinary. It's really just because that's a very ancient composition. It's like perhaps from a previous yuga or something. It's very old. It's probably the oldest thing that we have that we chant. But it's exactly describing Mahaprabhu's conception, right, of Krishna, and the mood of devotion and the worship of Krishna. So it's a very special composition. So just to honor that every day is very, very wonderful thing to do. You're chanting that with faith. And our Gurudev said, even if you don't know the meaning, you're connecting with that vibration, you're honoring that with faith, and that is going to purify you, that is going to nourish you, nourish your Atma. So, what else can I say? I mean, I don't like to go, maybe some other persons will give some special strategies for memorizing, but I don't know. I don't like to get into that. I think it's nice if it's natural, and just from chanting every day for a month, as you've experienced, you're starting to memorize. I experience every year, I learn a little bit more of that. I remember a little bit more of that composition. Because if you're chanting every day for 1 month, then you start to absorb it. So you can also pray. You can pray to the Dhammadrash to come, please enter my heart. Please enter my consciousness so that I can remember you always. You can also hear, we're fortunate, we have a beautiful recording of Gurudev chanting that. I can send you a link to that if you don't have it. So I'll share it in our group right now. So that's very powerful, actually. Gurudev, he spoke of how Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he had throwing power. He said, like Gurudev said, he learned things because Guru Maharaj had throwing power. You remember, he would say that. Because Srila Sridhar Maharaj would express things with some particular potency, and it would make a strong impression, on Srila Gurudev, and he would absorb that. So, there's definitely power in hearing from the Param Vaishnava. Let me see, I think we put it on SoundCloud, and it's also on scesmot.com, that recording. Oh, it doesn't come up, the Jai, here it is, Jai Shri. No.
Thank you so much, Vishakha Devi, because I love it how I said, oh, it's a practical, not a spiritual question, and you answered it spiritually. And I love to hear that so much more, because it has entered my heart, and the melody has been in my heart like this whole month. I'm using the melody for the Maha Mantra, and I'm just like, I do like it. So that was a really great answer. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, I'm happy you're happy. I'm trying to get the link here for this. Okay, well, I'm sharing the link to this. Oh, but I don't want to share the whole playlist. I just want. Here it is. Dhammadrash. Okay, I'm sharing okay, it's here in our chat. This is our Gurudev chanting the Dhammadrash. Yeah, and we also have to remember, memorizing it is not the be all and end all. I mean, many people can memorize, but they're not really connecting with the inner mood that is there. And others may not be able to memorize, but they're living that in their heart. So I remember our Gurudev mentioning about some devotees, they memorize the whole Brahma Samhita verses. And our Gurudev said, but they're just repeating, they're not really feeling the inner, spirit. So we want to remember that too. Our ability to memorize these verses, and it should be an expression of devotion, not just like an exercise of the brain, right? So, but I mean, you're definitely approaching this with that mood of devotion. But it's just something to bear in mind. Just because we're able to memorize it doesn't mean that we have anything, right? So, and vice versa. So, yeah, I wouldn't stress too much. Chinmoy, do you want to add anything to that?
I know one great scholar, he mentioned to me, if you actually want to memorize slokas or songs, learn the meaning, what the words mean. That way it helps.
That's a really good tip. That's a really good tip. I find like with our songs, I have a good number of them memorized, but it helps because I spent time in Bengal, and so I know something of the language, and I think, yeah, knowing the meaning, that definitely helps. Absolutely. And we actually have a word for word published, which you may want to look at that. Where did I think I put it on Jai Shri. Let me see if I can share that link as well. Well, it's so nice we're talking about this, because we were just saying how we're all a little sad, now, because yesterday was the last day of Kartik, and so we're not singing those songs that we have in the last month. So it's nice we're easing out from the separation. Were you going to say something? Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't find it here. We have a word for word too, which is nice. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, well, I can share it with you later. Dana has her hand raised. And also welcome, we had a few others join, Arjuna, and I think Ramadas is here, and I think Marie's also joined us. Welcome, everyone. Yes, Dana, please.
Hi, Bo. I wanted to kind of I was part of a shloka memorization group like maybe a month or so ago, and his recommendations were to write them down and like keep writing it. And he always said that writing it helps to get it in your mind, and also to post them places, like put it on the fridge, and every time you go to open the fridge you have to say it. Or if you go to the bathroom, post it on the bathroom door every time you go, or out the front door, or whatever, you know, wherever you're at. And then each time you walk past it, you have to like say it. And just like Chinmoy said, like this teacher encouraged us so much to know the meaning, like even breaking down like the words themselves, because if you know even some of the words, it'll help like trigger your memory as to what the full meaning is. And so he was really big on that. He even told a story, and I'm gonna like butcher the story, but of like, I guess there were some kids that had, like, I don't know if it was the whole Gita memorized Sanskrit or not, and they recited it to Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada was like, okay, well, can you translate all of that? Like, can you tell me the meaning? And they couldn't. And he was like, well, then there's no, you know, you need to know what you're memorizing, because otherwise what are you doing? You know? So, but yeah, those were, I don't know if any of that was helpful or just a ramble, but that's what I learned from that class I was in.
Very nice, very nice. I don't know if I put shlokas on the bathroom door. I might recommend not doing that.
That was very true. I thought of that after I said it, but
but everything else you said is wonderful. Yes, Chinmoy.
Are you reminded of Shrava, his method?
No, what was his method?
He would write little postcards, or you know, like postcards. And when he was driving in his truck, he would have them like all over the cab.
That's right. I did hear about that. And also, you know, it's very nice you mentioned that, Dana. Our Gurudev actually liked to put verses up, like you'll see in our temples. He would put, it will be Bengali Sanskrit, so for the Westerners, you know, they couldn't really connect with that. But you'll see around our temples, our Gurudev liked to put up, especially our Dum Dum Park temple. There was like a whole wall, right? Actually, there were many English quotes there too. And our Gurudev, he told one story actually how, and Gurudev would put in big letters and inscribed on the sides of some of the temples also. But he told this one very nice story. There's this one beautiful verse, as Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Shiradhar Jini, I don't know if I can remember it all. Shiradhar Bhava Jini Suvarnavaran Sango Pangin Abadvipe Kalite Upasya Shigoda Hari. I can't remember it all now, but it's describing Mahaprabhu appearing in this age of Kali with the heart and halo of Radharani, engaging and chanting and dancing and Navadip. Very beautiful verse. And our Gurudev, he had it inscribed. It's right in the front of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's Bhajan Kutir, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's quarters, in like big letters inscribed. Oh, he had it painted, sorry. It was painted initially. Now it's inscribed. It was painted. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj didn't make any comment. You know, some months went by, maybe a year went by, and then they were doing putting some fresh paint on some of the buildings, and that verse got painted over, got whitewashed over. And then Srila Sridhar Maharshi asked our Gurudev, oh, what happened to that very beautiful verse you had up there? And our Gurudev was very pleased because he said, all the time I was doing service and I didn't think Guru Maharaj was noticing what I was doing, but he was noticing everything and he was very happy. So yes, that's a beautiful thing. And in fact, we were discussing that here. We want to put up some verses here. We have one or two. But it's a very nice practice, put up in some clean, honorable place in your home. And then as you're walking by, our idea is that we're surrounding ourselves with a lifestyle, with friends, with things, with an environment that's promoting smaran, we're promoting remembrance of the Lord in the name. That's why we're given these names. We're given devotional names, because then, we're remembering the Lord, Ninja Mohan, Nanda Krishna Kanta, Mahesh. We're remembering, Shri Radha Krishna Mahaprabhu and their Leela. So this is our idea, right? We want to engage. This is our conception. Iha Yasya, Hadir Dasya, Karmana Manasa Gita, right? Mentally, bodily, verbally, we want to engage everything in Krishna consciousness. And now it may be an exercise of the mind or the body, but because of that connection with some pure source, it will become transformed. It will become purified, substantial, through the connection of the Vaishnava, through our sincerity. So yeah, it's very, very nice suggestion from Dana. I bet Marie has some good tips on memorizing. Marie is a Christian theologian. She's but now she's coming to Mahaprabhu's group. But she's very learned, in Christian theology.
It's basically all variants on Post-it notes. I've used index cards in my pocket. And then Christian bead prayer work is, at least Protestant Christian bead prayer work, is very, very customizable. So whenever I wanted to memorize something, I would work it into my evening bead prayer routines, so that I'd end up saying it 28 times at a go. And make a keychain, even if it's just one of those little tags that's used for packages that has a little tie on it, just tie that onto your mug so that every time you pick up your mug, or onto your keys, so that every time you go to your car or come back from your car, just stuff like that. Just put it where you're going to run into it, and remember it, and remember what it means. And then as often as you can, when that happens, try to say it. And that's, and I'm looking at Adi Sundari's question, and I can drop an adaptation of a Christian prayer that I use that I've found helpful for that in the chat. But I want to hear what you have to say, because one is not enough apparently for me. One tradition is never enough. I need at least two.
Well, nice tips from Marie. The refrigerator seems like a handy place. Okay. Well, maybe we'll move on unless anyone else wants to bring anything else up. Welcome, Krishna Mohini Didi in Spain, Dandavat, and Braja Bala's tuning in from Portugal.
Vishakha Devi Dasi.
Do you know Krishna Mohini, Saraswati's sister?
Yes.
Look who's here, Krishna Mohini. Munindra, Krishna Kanta.
Mila Govinda devotees, Dandavat.
That's great.
She's in
Venezuela. Happy to see you, Didi. Dandavat.
Okay, so let's see now.
Oh, Didi, did you see the question from Mata Sundari in the chat?
Yes, I'm looking. We have a very active chat today. Ganga Leela says she has photos of Dum Dum Park. You can look at those. And yes, we have questions. But Achi Sundari, I still didn't answer your question from the other day. But this is relevant, right? I guess to what we're talking about now. Not to be a linear question, but what's a verse that would be helpful in reprogramming the mind to surrender? What's a verse that would be helpful in reprogramming the mind to surrender if practiced or read daily? Wow, she gets straight to the point, Achi Sundari. I mean, you know what we have to remember actually is that the mind is just a layer, right? And it's not so much about I mean, it's true we want to train the mind to be our friend, because the mind is like a tool. The mind is like a tool that you can train. It's like, you know, I mean, even if you go to, you know, your local self-help store and look in the self-help section, you're going to find all these things, right, about like training yourself to have good habits and all this, right? The mind is just a tool and you can train it. Like it mentions in Bhagavad Gita, the mind can be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. Now, the real issue, the real situation is that the mind is covering the Atma, right? And the soul. And the soul has a natural attraction towards Krishna. It is like our, you know, the word Krishna means, you know, is referring to attraction. It's highly attractive. So our, you know, our Gurudev gave the example, Krishna is like a magnet and we are like iron particles. Well, here's Somya Sham and Vijay Dandavat. Look who's here. Krishna Kanta Vininder here.
Jai Hare Krishna. Vivekananda.
We're very excited. So a magnet, right? If you have iron particles, it will automatically go to the magnet. So Krishna is like that magnet. We are like those iron particles. But at present, we're covered in rust, right? And that rust is our mundane, you know, mundane conception, mundane ego, mundane mind, mundane attachment, all these things. They're creating this interference in what should be an automatic attraction. So what we're trying to do more than anything else is awaken that natural attraction of the soul. And so then there are different practices which are recommended. Shravan and Kirtan, hearing and chanting. Kirtan is our practice. Kirtan is the most powerful practice, especially in this age. And that will help to nourish the soul. More fundamental than that is sadhu sangha, Vaishnava seva. So associating with the devotees, hearing from the devotees, you know, in a mood of faith and living in a mood of service to Guru, service to the Vaishnavas. All of these things will help to awaken the soul, and that automatic attraction, it will become stronger and stronger. That's the real transaction that's taking place, right? That's the real situation. That's the real movement of Krishna consciousness. And then this issue with the mind, that's like a secondary matter, right? And yes, it's helpful to try to train the mind. You know, we try to develop habits that are supporting our spiritual life, right? Wake up at a certain time, we chant our japa, you know, we make it part of our regular practice to meet with the devotees, right? To engage in kirtan. So we train our minds, you know, just like they train, you know, like sniffer dogs, right? Sniffer dogs in the airport. So we want to train our mind, like, you know, devotees, good, right? Kirtan, good, right? Like, so, and you'll see, like, the mind will start to work like that. The mind, that you can make the mind work in your interest. It's just a tool, right? And eventually that mind is going to fade away. That mind is something mundane, actually. It's just a cover. right? There is spiritual mind, that is something else, right? That is something more pure in the plane of our consciousness. And that is naturally going to Krishna. So but then if you want, okay, but if we're going back to answer your question, what's a verse that's helpful? Well, we had here suggested Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. No, that's a good one.
Are you able to hear me?
What did you say?
Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, so the way that I'm interpreting what you just expressed is more so of actions that lead to, in a sense, quote unquote, surrender and honoring our practice. So what I'm kind of interpreting that is being more present. And would you say, or how would you identify surrender versus being present? Do they live in the same space or are they different?
Can you say that last part again?
Yeah, so sorry, there might be a little echo, but would you say that surrender and present are in the same in a way, or are they separate from each other?
Well, I think it depends how we're defining being present, right? If we're defining being present, being aware to what is the Krishna-centric flow, then yes. I mean, actually, so if we're talking about consciousness, right, there are different levels of consciousness or different levels of awareness, right? And there, we heard this, I think you were there, we watched this really beautiful video of Srila Sridhar Maharaj the other day. You were there actually, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave that very nice, or maybe you left before that part. He talked about how like in every area of life, there are persons who are more expert, right? So he gave the example like a doctor. A physician can see the human body and all these things and condition of health. They can X-ray, can see better than the human eye, right? So there are different levels of awareness, right? There's a level of awareness in the plane of the body and the mind. There's a level of awareness just in the plane of like spirit and just being aware of the soul. Then higher than that is connecting with that Krishna current, the current of devotion, perceiving Krishna as the source of everything, right? The source, the origin, the destination of everything. That's the deepest reading of the environment, having that awareness that I exist to serve, to love Krishna, right? So being truly present in the highest sense means to live in that awareness that I exist for him, I live for him. And everything in the environment, the environment is not to be used for my own purpose. The environment is not to be rejected or renounced, but everything is to be served. All the beautiful things, all the beautiful people, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, what I'm doing, every last thing, only finds its true purpose when it's expressed as an offering, when it's being offered to him. Then everything finds its true, true meaning, true fulfillment of existence. So that is the highest awareness to live in, right? And the thing is that we can't jump to that immediately. It's just like if someone's recovering from a drug addiction, right? They cannot immediately become free from that, right? And there are some drugs, it's heroin, right? Like people can die if they just immediately cut. They have to take this synthetic drug. I know people like that. They have to spend their lives on this synthetic government issued version of it because their body's been so wired to it. They can't just cut it out. So we're like wired on Maya. We're wired on the illusory energy. Our system has been calibrated according to that, right? So we can't just cut it immediately. We can't, it would be too much for us, right? So it's a gradual process. And now what we're doing is we are exposing ourselves, right? We're exposing ourselves to that higher vibration. We're exposing ourselves to higher association. You know, we're hearing, we're chanting, and gradually the layers are clearing. Gradually that inner natural dormant attraction is awakening, right? So yes, being like true presence means to be Krishna conscious. Actually, at the highest level, being present means to be aware. What is the actual flow of the environment? What is the actual movement? What is the actual interpretation of the environment? You know, but we're not actually ready for that yet. That's too deep for us right now. So we're slowly, gradually, we're taking baby steps. Going back to what you're saying about the mind, as you you're still starting out, like as you become more familiar with our prayers and our kirtans, we have many songs where we're talking to our mind, right? like one of our Amana Dormati, right? We're talking to our own minds. Oh, my fallen minds, you know. We have songs like that, you know, where we're talking to our mind. So yeah, there's quite a few like that. Mana Shiksha, right? Instructions. Is Raghunath Dasa's on it? Can't remember. Well, that's another one I'm thinking. But yeah, we have there's one composition, Instructions to the Minds, you know, Mana, you know, that's the name of it. So there are many prayers like that. But it's not like there's like one special button that you press or one secret mantra that you press, you know. We're talking about a wholesale transformation of consciousness. And I can also recommend you know, one very beautiful book of prayers. It's called Prapana Jivanamrita. And you can ask your brother, he can share with you. And there were many beautiful prayers by many Vaishnava saints and from the scriptures, which are describing the mood of the surrendered soul. How does someone who's living in that deepest awareness, that deepest presence, like how do they express themselves, right? You know, that book is full of those kinds of prayers. So it's you know, we're talking about a wholesale transformation of consciousness, and nothing is meant to be forced. That's another thing. It's not meant to be forced. You know, this should be something natural. You know, gradually, naturally. You know, not that we're beating ourselves up, not that we're forcing ourselves, and it's not so much reprogramming as it is awakening what's already within us. It's already within us. And that will be a gradual process. So I hope some of that is helpful. Okay, I see your comment in the chat. And Marie has also shared a prayer here. And that also, we had a few questions, and welcome. We have such a beautiful turnout today. Everyone, Seva Rupa, and quite a few. Some new names are here. Then I was going to more or less answer like that. Well, there was another question that came up. Oh, very nice. Chinmoy Prabhu. He's so wonderful with shlokas. This verse our Gurudev liked very much. And thank you so much, Ru. This is right on point. Describing how we're engaging every aspect of our existence, right? Savai Mana Krishna. Our Gurudev, I heard him quote this a number of times. Savai Mana Krishna Padada Vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane Kuroharir Manjira Marjana Dishu Shutim Chakara Chutta Sat Katodaye So saying how he engaged his mind, mana, mind is Sanskrit. Krishna Padada Vindaya, and remembering the lotus feet of Krishna, remembering Krishna's beautiful pastimes, remembering Krishna's teachings, remembering Krishna's associates. This is remembering Krishna. He used his tongue in describing the glories of Krishna's abode. He used his body in cleaning the Lord's temple, right? He used his legs in doing parikrama of the temple. And like this, he's engaging every aspect of his existence in the service and remembrance of the Lord. So very nice verse. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then there was another question that came, but I think it was from Karan on Sunday, and he was asking about the tendency of exploitation. Can it be said that the tendency of exploiting others is an outcome of false ego? Yeah, again, this is like this false ego, like the mind. It's a layer, it's a superficial layer, and using that, going back to that analogy of intoxication, Srila Sridhar Maharaj uses that analogy, Maya, the illusory energy. It's like a type of intoxication. And there's this very nice way he says it in one place, that it's it's like this spirit of exploitation, like that's surrounding the free will of the jiva, right? And it's something artificial, extraneous to the jiva. So yes, that any tendency for selfishness, exploitation, that is coming from the false ego. Absolutely. And then also, Ati Sanji, going back to your other question, I mean, maybe what we just said answers your previous question. How can we step out of our false ego in seeing the environment as bad and learn to identify the mirrors we can learn from the ego and change our actions or associations? I mean, I think going on with hearing is very important. Like we're learning how to view the environment. We're learning how to read the environment. This is the first step, right? Like realizing we've been living with a misconceived conception. What is the environment? That the glasses we're wearing the wrong glasses. So this is the first step. And then through hearing, through Shavanam, then we're hearing what is proper understanding of the environment. And then we can also mention here this important verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. I suppose this is a way of reprogramming the mind, if we're going to talk like that. There's this famous verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tattenu kampam susamikṣamano bunjane vatma utam vipakam vidvagvapur bir vidadannamaste jiveta yomukti parisadaya. And this is answering that question very perfectly. That first of all, we have to accept with some humility and surrender. And it is a bitter pill. But to accept our own responsibility and every last thing that we're experiencing. It is a bitter pill. It is difficult to accept. It requires a great degree of humility and surrender and clarity that, there are no accidents in the environment. And we may not be able to see how and why, but we must understand it is so, that I am responsible, whether in this life or previous life, I brought this upon myself. So this is the first stage, right? To acknowledge our own responsibility, our own accountability in everything we're experiencing, not to be a victim. I mean, even nowadays, this is like, they talk like that, right? In these pop psychology, right? Like you don't want to play the victim, but take responsibility for your own life. Don't spend your time being the victim. That's a waste of energy. but accept that I am responsible. This is the first stage. And then this verse is prescribing next level, right? That not only do we accept our own responsibility, but even deeper than that, we see it as the Lord's mercy. That is the Lord's grace upon us, because it is coming for our correction. What is the Lord's? It is, the mother is slapping her child, but it is not coming from, cruelty, but it is coming with love, right? The mother is lovingly wanting to correct her child, and that slap is necessary. Although in that age, with that level of comprehension, the child may not be able to understand that, right? So then to see it is actually mercy, it is affection, not just a difficult punishment from some impersonal system of justice. I have to bear it out, right? Grit my teeth and just bear it out in a very dry way. But to see there's actually grace and affection, behind that. That is the deepest level. And then this verse goes on to say, one who can really embrace this, Jiveta yo mukti pade sadayava. This person, they will very soon be liberated. They will very soon, they're heir to the land of freedom, right? And we can take the analogy of a prisoner, No, it is very, very common. I don't remember the statistics, but like a huge number of offenders, they're repeat offenders, right? They go to prison, they get let out, they go to prison again. It's like a lifestyle. It's very common. There's a huge number, a huge percentage, right? Like that. Why? Because they've gone to prison, but they haven't changed their consciousness. Right? So if a prisoner in prison comes to a point of clarity and they realize, oh, I've done wrong. Oh, I've done wrong. I should have this punishment, right? Then very soon they'll be released and they won't be going back again, right? So when we shift our consciousness, we stop blaming the environment and understand, oh, I am responsible. I need to correct myself. Then that's like a whole like recalibration that's taken place, and they are making a revolutionary adjustment, which will lead to a total transformation of their environment. These principles, they're subtle, but they are extremely powerful. If you apply them, if we apply them, they're extremely powerful principle. We can change our own lives. We can change the lives of so many others, like for the better, if we apply them. So maybe if you're asking for one verse, which will help to reprogram the mind, to help us, and maybe we can share that verse. You're in Salt Lake City. This is Sudarshan's favorite verse. Sudarshan is famous for this verse. Everybody knows Sudarshan for this verse. The whole family. She's in Salt Lake City. So. Let me find it for you. Unless Chinmay beats me to it. Okay, he's letting me do it. Wait, I've gotten lost now. Where am I? Okay. That to compound. Yeah, ask Sudarshan to explain this verse. You'll make his day.
I will ask him when I see him.
Okay. Here we are. Oh, wait, I got lost again. So I'm going to share this with our group. So this is the verse and then the translation. Here. Tattenu kambam susamik shamano Banjane vatma kutam vipakam Ridvagvapur bir Vidadannamaste Jiveta Yomukti Pade Sadayavad. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering the respectful obeisance with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his right. And okay, another verse. Okay, if we're talking about like verses to be programmed, there are a lot of verses. There's another good one Prabhu's recommending. This is definition of surrender, Sharanagati, Bhagavad Bhakti Sarvam. Ityuchi, this is the one we were talking about earlier. Ityuchi Javiderapi, Kain Karyam, Krishna Padaka, Shayatma, Sharanagati. Definition of Sharanagati, to have the faith that everything will be achieved through the service, through devotion to Krishna. That we will exclusively take shelter of Krishna, and even if necessary, give up scriptural rules and regulations if necessary in the service to Krishna. This is Shanti. But then the other one I was thinking of is very beautiful. Then these are all in this book, Prapana Jivanam. I gave your brother for his birthday yesterday, Spanish edition of Prapana Jivanam. So he can share that with you. So this is a very nice verse. What did you say?
I said that's awesome. I'm glad he's going to read Spanish. Very intentional, as he should.
So this other verse, Maj Janmana Phalam Nidamadu Kaitabare Matpartaniya Madanuga Aisha Eva. Swad Britya Paricharaka Britya Brityasya Brityam Itimam Smara Lokana. The word Britya means servant, and you hear it's repeated again and again. That Britya Paricharaka. It's saying this will be the fulfillment of my life. It is a prayer from the devotee to the Lord. This will be the fulfillment of my life. This will be your true grace upon me. And what is it? And this is my prayer, and this is my prayer to you, that you will remember me, Lord, as the servant of the servant of the servant of your servant. So this is the crux of the matter, right? Reprogramming the mind to not perceive ourselves as individual, selfish, enjoying agents, that everything is an object to me, but to reconceive, flip it around. I exist to serve, I exist to love, I exist to give, I exist to sacrifice, right? In love, right? That's that. And what a joyful thing, right? Divine slavery. I'll just say it. Divine slavery. That's what this actually is. Okay, maybe we'll have some people drop out of the meeting. Yeah, we like to sugarcoat it a lot, but basically that's what this is. We'll just be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting when you get people who are like, well, we can't read that version, that translation of the Bible, because in that one, Paul says I'm a slave to Christ. And I'm like, okay, but that for a reason.
Okay, so you go through that too, Marie.
Yes.
I saw Shamagopa put his arms up. He was happy. But this is the thing. What a joyful thing to be a slave, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, to the great force of love and beauty. Who is Krishna? He is happiness personified. He is love personified. He is beauty personified. We're already slaves of that. We can see in the world, right, how we go running after children or lovers or whatever it may be, family members, because we're bound by love or by how we're charmed by that person. So we're naturally slaves of love and beauty. So we're just redirecting that to the true source of these things. That's what this is. So that's what that's how we're retraining ourselves, like to learn it's okay to not be number one. Right? Actually, how wonderful it is that Srila Sridhar Maharaj says in one place, how wonderful, I have so many guardians above my head. So many people are better than me here. Like, how wonderful, right? It's like I heard this expression I liked very much. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. How much better it is to be surrounded by people who are better than you, who are, more beautiful, more intelligent, more qualified. How wonderful! I can learn, right? The spirit of the spirit of humility and submission, it naturally brings us in contact with a higher plane, because we can only be a master of that which is lower to ourselves. It is common sense, right? We can only be a master of something that is less. Right? So if we want to be a master, we necessarily have to contact something lower. Right? Chintamani, I know you're doing some hardcore networking, because there are so many people joining today who don't normally join. Chintamani's like behind the scenes sending people messages. And Nanta Govinda's joined. That's so wonderful. And quite a few have joined. Dandavada Nanta Govinda Prabhu. And there were some other names I didn't recognize. So yes, this is the thing. We're learning how wonderful, how beautiful, how joyful it is to be, happy dancing slave of Krishna. We hear this expression from our gurus. Happy dancing slave of Krishna. And here's the other side of the coin. Krishna, he becomes captured by his devotee. He becomes bound, right? What is that verse? The Eva Dvija, the Durvasa Muni verse, that Hridaya Grasta. Krishna says, it's as if I have no independence, right? I'm bound by the love of my devotees. I am not a free agent, right? So this is the other side of the coin. Krishna will also, this is also mentioned by Rupa Goswami in the 6 characteristics of devotion, right? The final stage, right? Shri Krishna Karshini Chasa, right? The devotee, Krishna becomes under the control of his devotee. Saraswati Thakur has one line, Krishna is the personal property of his devotees. So it is not anything to be afraid of. It is the most wonderful thing, right? Oh, thank you. Wow, this Abhishek, wow. Chintamani brought him in. He's like some Puri Vaishnava. He knows this verse. Wow, yes, thank you so much. Wow, you're one of us, huh? Aham bhakta pradino yaspatancha eva dvija sarubir grasta hridayo bhakter bhakta janapriya. Yes, exactly. This is the verse. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So yes, so this is how we're retraining our mind, you could say, right? It's automatic already to the heart, to the soul, but it hasn't quite caught up yet. So we're learning the theory, you could say. So in that sense, I will concede there's some reprogramming going on. Okay. Thank you for the wonderful questions. And Gangalila has her hand raised, although we are kind of at the end we have a few minutes left. Or maybe you want to share a comment?
Oh, no, just a tiny small thing. First, Abhishek is a brother from the BRG, so he's already in the circle. And I'm so happy that he's here. I hope he comes back. And the other thing is, like, this whole month of chanting the Dhammarashaka and also reading the translation, I was not really getting this whole rope, even paying a basis to the rope, what catches Krishna, and Krishna is bound by love. And now you're just saying that too. It's starting to actually come to me a little bit more in my heart, not so much in my head yet, but I think that's where I want it anyway. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And yes, that's a very nice point. That is like the essence of that, what's being expressed in that prayer. Krishna is bound by the pure love of his devotees. Yes, very, very nice connection there. And welcome, Abhishek Prabhu. Very happy to have you with us. And thank you so much for sharing that wonderful verse with us. Okay, well, we're just, we have a minute or two left. Maybe Ninja Prabhu want to share some words with our group. Okay.
Just relish everything that's been told. So much from one question. Unfolding the topics. Very nice. Very nice calf. Getting the milk from the cow.
Well, Krishna Kansumu Ninja, they're legends in our mission for those who don't. No, it is true. It is true. And they opened this very beautiful Villa Govinda ashram in Italy as a fully a heart offering to our Guru Day in very difficult circumstances. And now Villa Govinda, this ashram has become very much an international hub in our mission, especially with Madhusudana Maharaj staying there now. So we're very happy and honored to have him with us here. Okay, well, so wonderful to be here with all of you. Ananta Govinda Prabhu, you want to share any news? So happy to see you.
Dandavat, Vishakha Devi.
Dandavat.
Yeah, I'm here in Atascadero with Evan and his girlfriend Celeste and Roger.
Okay,
They live here.
Roger.
Yeah, so they do Mangalarti. Yeah, I mean, I do it too, but
You're all doing Mangalarti now. Wow, look at that. Who's Evan?
yeah, Evan has Mahaprabhu Murti.
You brought back a deity of Mahaprabhu from Navadvip. So you're doing Mangalarti. That's great.
Yeah, it's lovely. So nice to see you and devotees here on the Zoom. Just want to chime in and offer my Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and listen to Harikatha and all your sweet words.
Do you know Ananta Govinda? He's in Sokel. He lived in the Sokel ashram for some years. You haven't met him. Yeah. Okay.
Well, glories to your service and everyone there. So nice to see you and hear you. Thank you for letting me on.
Oh, thanks for being here. Ramananda Prabhu has also joined us from San Jose. Dandavat.
Dandavat, Vishakha Didi, Dandavat.
Hi,
Dandavat,
Ramananda.
Ananta Govinda Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhu.
Dandavat.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
South Africa, Seva Rupa, very good to have you. And iPhone de Maria. I know who that is, but I cannot remember your spiritual name. But very happy to have you with us. Ramadas Prabhu, very nice to see you, Prabhu. Chinmoy Prabhu, any last words for our group today?
I'm just very happy to be a part of this. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
And Radhana Rupini, you want to share some final words of wisdom for our group today?
Didi, you give all the wisdom, but the only thing I was thinking of was when the devotee asked about how can we change our mind, and really by chanting in a meditative state, trying to meditate on your chanting nicely in the morning, eventually changes our heart. And that's when our mind will also change. Because we become more attached to Krishna and less attached to this world. That's all.
Very nice, Didi. And that reminds us of Srila Rupa Goswami's verse in Upadeshamrita, right? Where he compares, and actually in the video darshan with Srila Sridhar the other day, he was referencing that verse. And I wanted to mention it, but I forgot. This verse of Rupa Goswami is very helpful. He compares the mundane attachment to this disease of the liver, jaundice, right? And it causes sweet things to taste bitter. But there's one of the Ayurvedic remedies for this condition is rock candy, sugar candy. So you're taking this sugar medicine and it's tasting like bitter to you because of this disease, like disease of the bile. But you keep taking it and it will gradually cure your disease and you will begin to taste the sweetness. And so he gives this analogy, for the chanting of the holy name, that we may not have the taste in the beginning, but that is the medicine for us. And as we continue chanting with faith, that taste, that sweetness will begin to come out. So yes, very, very nice, Didi, that you brought that up. Okay, well, then maybe we'll close here today. Thank you so much, Chinmoy Prabhu, for hosting. Thank you all for tuning in. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Devi Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All the devotees, sincere seekers Ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Tan Ki Jai.
Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi ki.
Jai.
Thank you all for your association.
Dandavat, Devi, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat, Chinmay Dev.
Hare Krishna. Jai, jai, jai.
Bye.